So for today's session, we are very excited to have Kenny and his team at Elevate Ventures. So they'll be touching on a few areas such as like how to scale your setup to high growth stage, how to prospect and work with partners, and some case studies on their portfolio companies. So there's a Q&A box below, and we welcome everyone to submit your questions there. And the team will be answering your question at the last 5 minutes of the session. So I guess with that, I shall pass the time over to Kenny and his team. So Kenny, you might want to, share your screen.
Okay. Let me do it now. Hi guys, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I believe they can.
Okay. Shihui, thank you for having me. I just want to say thank you, TechNode, along with Mr. Gang Lu for having me here today. As a matter of fact, I've been very involved in the startup community for over 2 decades now. And as a matter of fact, I can say that TechNode, the organization, has helped me a lot ever since I moved over to Asia, and where I have resided in Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, and these various cities. So extremely grateful to be here today. So this workshop is all about scaling a business, right? And before I get into these details, I just want to share some of my personal experience when it comes to driving growth for startups. As myself, I've also been in startups, and we're also running multiple businesses today. So we definitely know the challenges and, I would say, the difficulties of building businesses and how we can overcome challenges, something I really want to share with the audience today, and how we can turn these challenges into opportunities. So I really didn't start making, I would say, serious money until about 5 years ago. Now I'm in my late 30s. And as I mentioned before that, I had been an entrepreneur for about 20 years. And I started running e-commerce businesses. I used to sell furniture on eBay. I think that was my early start, where I thought I had very good success very, very early on. However, excuse me. However, I ended up spending a lot of money on, I would say, things that did not matter much. As I accumulated, I would say, money early on, I didn't really appreciate what I had, and I ended up spending it on things that did not have a direct impact on my business. So, with newfound riches, oftentimes it goes to waste. And I can say that in my early 30s, I got to a point where I can say I was literally broke. I remember during the days in Shanghai, I used to ride a bicycle to work during cold winter times, and barely had enough money for food, right? So I know how it is as an entrepreneur, and I got to a point where I realized I had to learn and evolve into someone different, right? And today, we're just very grateful to be here. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's really, really a lifelong journey. And when you're building a business, you're going to have a lot of ups and downs. But do keep in mind that opportunities, they're abundant. They're already readily available in front of you, right? So we just have to learn how to tap into these opportunities. And we're going to be sharing some of these techniques and ways of how to identify resources. Okay, we'll be sharing that later during this workshop. So just some things to think about between now, maybe even rest of the rest of your day. Hope you can walk away with some meaning from this presentation. One of the things I would like to ask the audience today is to think about, what does success really mean to you, right? For some people, it might be accumulating money. For others, it might be feeling liberated from the day-to-day work. And, you know, for others, it might encompass other things, such as your health, your relationship, you know, more than just having a successful business, right? So I really believe that mindset is very important. You know, in order for us to manifest our true desires, we have to think positively, you know, about ourselves. And we have to ingrain this into our DNA. Why do I say that? Because in my early career, I looked at challenges as a roadblock where I would constantly think about and even blame others. How come I was never able to create a world that I wanted to live in? You know, oftentimes I would look outside instead of inwards, right? So again, look at things as a way where you can learn, look at challenges as opportunities. And through that, we can keep leveling up. When you learn and you grow, you're constantly evolving in each stage in your career and each chapter of your life, right? So just to share a few challenges I had as an entrepreneur, you know, before we became an investment firm, you know, some of these challenges was constantly trying to impress these different venture capitalists, constantly trying to impress others. You know, during that period in my life, I felt like I lost myself. I was constantly losing focus. I was always wanted to help others. You know, I think as entrepreneurs, we have to learn how to preserve our energy. We have to learn how to preserve, I would say, relationships. We have to find that strength within us where we can truly, I would say, we can truly be ourselves. So don't be afraid to lose. Don't be afraid to say no to people. A lot of people, they're gonna come ask you for favors, right? But sometimes we have to learn to protect ourselves. It all starts within us. So the more true you are to yourself, I really believe that, you know, it's such a wonderful gift. You will be able to create a world where you truly envision. Another challenge, as an entrepreneur, I wanted to build everything. I wanted to copy what others were doing. I was all over the place. I was not structured. You know, so when people say, hey, try to do one thing well, try to structure and break things down into smaller achievable goals. Okay, guys, before we move into the valuation part of startups and all the exciting parts, you know, some of these things I do want to share with you, because after realizing that I could overcome these challenges, it really just changed my entire perspective in everything I did. So I remember early on when I was trying to build startups, there were times when you would get into arguments with your co-founders, you know, and even some of your core teams, but at the end, Do you guys, some things to think about, do you all share the same vision? Do you have faith in one another? And what's the momentum that you're building with them? Right? When you're onboarding your co-founders, is either they're in it or not. You know, you have to be able to determine very quickly how committed are they, right? Both of you might have jobs early on while you're building your startups, but on the other hand, are they really putting in their not just their time, their heart? You know, and do you see yourself building really a startup, a future with this person, right? So is it really just about the money? You know, what does success really mean to us and to each of you today? Do you just want to be rich? Do you want a name for yourself? What is it? Are you looking for financial freedom? You know, are you looking for a tribe? A tribe that can be a group of people that can help you to achieve your goals and be part of your journey even decades from now, right? You know, just some things to think about. And over the years, I think I started doing meditation about 6 years ago, and I realized that as I looked deeper into my inner self, I realized that there is 5 pillars of success. And I learned this during a trip I went to in Koh Samui in Thailand. I spent a few weeks there, went on a fasting retreat and meditation, and through that, I realized that, hey, success is more than just building a multi-million-dollar business. You know, it's also the relationship that you have with people, your physical self. You know, are you healthy? And of course, we talked about career, and for me, spirituality. For others, it might be religion, it might be their prayers, you know, but if we look at things holistically, it's also the foods you eat too. So these are some of the things I'm really looking into the past few years. And I remember Ging Lu, when I was watching some of the video slides earlier, he talked about life science. You know, this is also a category which we're looking into now, right? Longevity. How can we live at an old age but have a young body? Those are some of the things I'm looking into now, right? So one thing I learned, it's the formula is very simple. Small experiments equals small wins. All of us are starting somewhere, right? Let's say if you're starting here now and your goal is to get here, you might envision yourself becoming someone you want to become. 5 years ago, I never saw that I could become here. I never knew that I could be running a successful investment firm, but it takes steps. You know, I think entrepreneurs, we have to learn how to build up confidence. If you're going to go and say, hey, I want to raise $1 million US for your seed round, you're jumping from here to there, but you need small experimentation, small wins. You know, I think it's really about appreciating yourself and being grateful that you can continue to build in these stages in your career and even in your relationships, even with your colleagues. Test out small experiments. You might want to jump, for those of us that might want to start up a business, before jumping on a boat with someone, do some exercises with them. Simple tasks and see how each of you can accomplish it, right? And as you're building this relationship, as you're cultivating your relationship, you're going to realize that these small tasks can be very simple and easy to accomplish, right? And when you accumulate these small wins together, you will get here. We just have to find the right people to build with, right? And I think good habits is very important. I really encourage everyone to read Atomic Habits. It definitely changed my life. So let's talk about business. Let's talk about making money. You know, a lot of these things that we're sharing today, I think just very fortunate to be sharing with you guys today, because there's really no secret. You know, this information is already out there. We just figured out how to put it together, that's all, right? So when it comes to raising capital and, you know, pitching investors, I remember when I was in my late 20s and early 30s, I think it was very difficult to raise money. If you really think about it, out of 100 people that you know, how many of them actually successfully raise capital? Is fundraising really that important? You know, I think entrepreneurs oftentimes they get lost in translation. They focus so much on their storytelling. They put in so much time in building a deck. They become so obsessed with it that they get lost in translation. They're selling a story that's so far and beyond that. What is their achievable goal right now? What is their key metrics? You know, I think it's not easy becoming to be an entrepreneur. At the same time, I think focus is so key, and we're going to be sharing some of this information with you today. You know, if you find fundraising to be difficult, what can you do first? Eventually, as you scale your company, whether it's technology or a retail business, eventually you might seek outside capital. But honestly, there's plenty of people that I know that never had to raise any outside funding. And of course, if you're not someone who's a serial entrepreneur or someone that's well known, how do you get funding? Or why don't we think about resources? Resources is abundant, right? Like, how do we tap into that? So think of our resources today and think of how we can turn them into opportunities. And when we have these opportunities, money will come. Either your company will become very profitable, or investors will come knocking on your door. Firstly, we have to identify strategic resources. How do you do that? What are these resources? Right? For me, I'm not going to go over resources as in human resource today. I'm not going to go over that. You know, you might be very good at recruiting talents, but one thing I do want to emphasize on is the resource to build your business, to find strategic partners. Okay, so we're going to go over use cases. What exactly does a use case do? And through creating use cases, how do you identify strategic prospects that you can work with? And how do you tap into resources, right? Our team today goes in depth to analyze strategic partners. Let's call these prospective partners, right? And as you find out who they are, how do you benefit them? How do you benefit someone? And how do they benefit you? And what would the world look like together when you're building together, right? Let's talk about tactical ways to get results from, they call it 0 to 1, right? let's call it 0 to 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, where you can have achievable goals, right? So we need measurable results. Oftentimes entrepreneurs, they don't really think about what attraction is, or I would say their key metrics, right? As I mentioned, small experiments, small wins. If you're able to build a small measurable result, small metrics, will show you how you can substantiate this traction to get to the next stage. We're always constantly leveling up, and through your case studies, you can have enrollment power to achieve your goals in the shortest time possible without wasting energy or be repetitive in what you do. And once you practice it long enough, you can start tapping into your pool of networks and advisors. The formula is really simple. You know, the way we built Elevate Ventures, we took in absolutely zero funding from outside investors. It's just all of our own capital. Within 5 years, we built an early stage VC, a very aggressive investment approach. You know, we want to get first dibs before the larger VCs do. And we also have Game Changers, which is our advisory, digital marketing, and PR firm. The categories that we focus on right now is technology. Of course, it encompasses fintech, IoT, AI, and even blockchain projects, right? So besides investing into capital, we're also investing into resources, providing resources to scale companies. Our portfolio companies and clients, they've raised over $1 billion in institutional capital. We help our companies from early C stage to growth stage. And we also have business development teams to help them expand globally. Right? So within 5 years, we have over 30 full-time employees. We're constantly hiring in many different regions, you know, throughout the world, right? You know, since COVID happened, we had no panic. We continue to hire people. We continue to build. As a matter of fact, it enabled us to become much more focused. So I will hand over to Hikaru, my business partner. Okay, we've been working together since the early days of Elevate Ventures. Very grateful to have him here today. Thank you, Hikaru.
Thank you, Kenny. Nice presentation. So hello all, my name is Hikaru. I am a venture partner at our firm. I work very closely with our many associates, partners, portfolio projects to really drive their growth in terms of, again, business relations, their overall branding, whatever services they would need, you know, in terms of like digital, legal, and whatnot. So today I would like to focus on one strategy, one major tactic that we have implemented and iterated over the many years, because this is what we constantly see in demand from our portfolio projects and people we work with. So oftentimes, right, new startups come to us and they're like, how can we get from now, very small company, maybe minimum viable product, to 100 million? How do we get that, next wave of millions of customers? And as we kind of boil it down, each company is different. They're in different stages. They have their unique offerings and positions, but it really comes down to this. So partnerships, it's one of the most proven and fastest way to go up the ladder in measurable stages, let's say. So there's really 3 benefits to this, right? One is it boosts your reputation and branding. You're a small company, okay, even if he has success, right, the company still doesn't have a brand. However, imagine partnering with that one company. You land a partnership, you sign, you do media. Now people are going to start looking into you, which means you tap into their user base as well. Why? Because now your partner will start vouching for you. They spread into their communities. So whether you're a B2B company, B2C company, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be customers that you can expose into, which overall ties into leveraging, right? Existing network resources. So that's why, as Kenny said earlier, resources are abundant. You just have to know where they are and how to smartly utilize them so that it's a win-win and win situation for everyone. So how do you start, right? Well, you have to really prospect, engage, and collaborate with the right strategic partners. Next slide, Kenny. Yeah, and you can go next. So the first part is you have to find the right partners that's fit to your product, product market fit. What are you doing? Oh, go back one, please. Yeah, back one. So essentially, is a partner you're trying to reach to going to bring you a new customer base? If they're not as reputable as you are now, you probably shouldn't deal with them unless if they're good friends and you guys have a plan. Another one would be, would they be able to, have long-lasting partnerships and bring long-lasting, I would say, business goals that would be achievable in the short, mid, and long term. Next slide, please. Yeah, and then overall, will their business network grow? Can they introduce you to other investors, to other partners? So then the next slide, right, is about engaging with them. This is equally as important. So we help our portfolio companies to prospect and find these people. We really analyze your technology and look into the existing market and be like, you should be approaching this guy, and that guy. Next slide. Okay. So you have to also engage at the right time. Timing is very crucial as well. If you approach your partner, you don't have tech, you don't have anything, the chances are you're going to have a very difficult time. So when you approach these people and engage, it's really simple. Is the value proposition strong enough? Do you have such a good story to tell? Such a good opportunity that your partnership cannot be resisted? You have to ask yourself that a million times and just be so confident at it. It's a partnership, right? So it has to be a win-win. Will your target partner benefit as equally as you do? Maybe not in terms of exact 50-50, but they have to gain something out of it as well. And if this is not clear, yeah, your negotiations are going to be tough. And again, be ready to approach the partner. Be prepared in terms of having the right branding material, the collaterals to share, but also having a product or whatever you're doing. So then now that comes into the third stage of collaboration. Next slide. So again, leverage the existing network resources. Really, it's okay to ask each other for help, but make sure that it's being utilized smartly. And also make sure your collaborations have long-term effects. I'm kind of saying this and it sounds obvious, but a lot of times we see in this startup space, you announce a partnership and only has short-term effects. And then people don't think too much of the longer-term effects because a partnership is everlasting, right? So you really have to think this through and make sure that it's not just for short-term media gains. And then it's really important to deliver the right message. I know as tech companies, AI, blockchain, whatever you're working on, oftentimes for your end customers, the messaging can be difficult just because it's technical. So it's really important to make sure the branding, the marketing, the messaging is done cohesively so that people understand your narrative. Why the partnership? Oh my gosh, get them excited. Now you have the customers coming to you, right? Next slide. So with that being said, right, how do we do it? Well, again, to prospect the right partners, we do the research and analysis. We have an entire internal research and analyst team to break it down. And sometimes they even explain it better than the team does themselves. We have these times where, these teams are very technical and they just don't know how to get the word out. And then we also help with the business relations. We create strategies and make sure that we can drive impactful relationships that last, and not just a, hey, cold email intro. No, we want to engage in the most quality way possible. And then again, support on whatever services are needed. So like media, PR, mainstream media, digital services, legal, which we'll cover in a short while. So let's go over some case studies on what it looks like. First, I'll go over PARSIQ. So who are they? So essentially, you can think of them as like a Zapier, or if you ever use the IFTT workflow, but they also do it for the blockchain technologies, which is very, I would say, new in the industry. They already have dozens of partnerships, investment from pretty big firms, and we've been working with them from the very early stages. So you can think of them as like a data infrastructure company for decentralized infrastructures. So with them, right, they have very good technology and they're like a B2B2C platform. So let's say their technologies are quite vast and there's lots of different sub-products in between it. To be quite honest, if you're a customer, it's there's a lot to, like, I would say, focus on. So we really analyze their technologies, and at that time, right, we help them to understand what's your best go-to-market strategy in terms of your messaging and partnerships. So we would design helpful visualizations to translate technicals into more understandable language, because at the end of the day, you're pitching the businessmen, the decision makers, not the dev team. Next slide. So yeah, afterwards, right, we reached out to many of our partners and networks, even ones that we didn't know. And for one example, we landed a partnership, signed with one called a Dash. They're a global payments company that already has like billions of dollars in annual payment volume. So we helped do the PR for them. We helped them get on media like E27, for example, along with Forbes China and a bunch of other ones. And yeah, we just amplified this partnership. And what's really awesome is afterwards, PARSIQ comes to us and they're like, hey, we had these investors reach out to us, rather than them going to various investors before this announcement came. So that was a cool moment for us because the messaging worked. So after that, what was the result? Well, they had a snowball effect of more reputable partners coming in because, again, their reputation boosted, their network grew. And then their market cap also grew by 90x. Yeah.
So there was obviously, during that time, PARSIQ really just focused on building their product, and they were laser focused in terms of the few partners that they wanted to have a strategic partnership with. Once they're able to build a case study with one company, one quite reputable company, obviously it was done through relationships, right? From there, investors, they will approach you. This is why I had mentioned earlier, oftentimes entrepreneurs, they're so focused in fundraising, but on the other hand, where's their traction? So this is just one example of a strategic partnership with traction that we're able, to showcase to you today. And again, if we're able to move strategically, your business will be successful. Okay, of course, focus is key. Focus is key.
Yeah. So that was it for PARSIQ. Why don't we look at another example, this time with the AI and big data company. Kenny, would you like to explain about LUXSENS?
Oh, yeah, sure. So LUXSENS is a data intelligence company for personal luxury products. And currently, the team provides data analytics to enterprises and from auction houses to secondhand retailers. Okay, so what do they use it for? To benchmark pricing intelligence, to monitor social behavior and trends that's happening on the marketplace. So the team currently collects millions of data points, related to luxury products, such as handbags, watches, the branded ones like Louis Vuitton, MS, watches like Rolex, the higher end ones, right? And this team utilized social media to build their presence. On the other hand, they're really just a data intelligence company, but why did they start building their own presence? So instead of spending funds on clicks, on Google or Baidu clicks, they turned their data intelligence into consumable content for their customers. And this is very old data, on TikTok and Total. We haven't had an update of their recent numbers, but I'm sure it's actually quite high, right? So for example, they're building top 10 trending products for a specific brand like Louis Vuitton, or top 10 most valued items for like the brand MS. And through this data, they're able to provide it to their corporate and enterprise clients. And in time, these prospective clients started approaching them because they really like that data, right? So, this team has been featured on a lot of the mainstream publications, like Forbes, South China Morning Post. They're doing extremely well. Hikaru, I'll pass this back to you.
Okay, so just another quick example. Again, a lot of our companies work in very niche verticals, and they have, I would say, challenges getting their message out. So we helped start this channel called The Human and the Machine, where we break down the different complex knowledge into something more consumable directly for the consumers. So we've interviewed top people, and yeah, they've liked the content, and we continue to give them more exposure on social media. So of course, we spread it on like YouTube, Facebook, and then we also have Chinese media as well that we work with. All right, next slide.
So as an investments firm, we still operate like a startup. We're still building our own podcast channel. Before the travel restriction, we were co-hosting events in Hong Kong. And actually, that's where I was spending a lot of time then. So imagine when all of a sudden you can't go anywhere, your business needs to change. We have to adapt. So this is why we started building our own channel. We realized that we have the power to influence. We still have the power to connect with like-minded people. We still have the power to connect with strategic partners. So keep building, and people will come to you, and you're going to see opportunities everywhere. Opportunities is abundant. It's abundant. Okay, now I will hand over to Vinyas. He's our legal counsel at our firm. Vinyas, and he will be sharing with everyone here today just things that he experience that he's accumulated over the years, relating to legal and some of the things to look out for, as you're scaling your business. Vinyas?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kenny and Hikaru. You guys have beautifully laid down the aspects of the business. And I would also like to extend my gratitude to the TechNode team for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of you all August gathering. So I would like to start by saying that the legal's job starts at the very first brainchild, when the whole brainchild of business evolves in the minds of an entrepreneur and its supporting partners maybe. Most of the times people just focus on, the business side of the idea. They go in for the attack to the market, to the strategies of their business, how to expand, how to grow, how to, move things. But they sometimes leave the defense side of the business, which is legal. Legal safeguards their business from the very startup of the idea. So our role starts from the very first stage, which is the company formation. Before starting off any of your business idea, be it small or a large enterprise, you have to start with some kind of paperwork, some kind of legal compliances, governmental compliances, and we. Our organization not only helps you with the marketing and the PR advisory or the VC help, but also from the very start of this business handholding, it also provides you with the legal side of it. So as I said already, we provide you with the legal handholding of the company formation, which kind of company you would require. Would it be a corporation? Would it be an LLC? Would it be an LLP? What is the nature of the business? How best you can fetch out from the whole market, which kind of company you would like to have, where would you like to have it incorporated to have the best of the tax benefits and all. So that's one. Now, once the company formation is started, young entrepreneurs also require to understand there are a lot of legal documents which needs to be put in there. They are called constitutional documents of the company, like memorandum of association, articles of association, and the most important are the board resolutions. Now, board resolutions come in two basis. If a company has an important decision for any of their goal or any of the decisions they make, it has to be decided not only by the MD or the CEO, it has to be decided by the board of directors of the company. It has to be in written form, and that is what we call as board resolutions. We have to put in the important decisions of the company on the paper to have a record, and we have to create those board resolutions and to file them in the regulatory bodies also, so that everyone has the visibility of what's going on with the company to comply with the governmental regulations. The next is the most important. It is the most important thing, which comes on almost daily basis and involves almost 80 to 90% of the legal's role in a company, which is contract drafting and contract negotiation. Now, during my career of around 10-12 years in the legal domain, I have seen and I have experienced this thing many a times, that a young entrepreneur, when it starts a startup and he wants to sign deals with big companies, big MNCs, suppliers, clients, sometimes these big organizations try to bully them, that okay, this is our template, this is our agreement template, and you only have to sign this one only, and we will not accept any of your suggestions to our paper. We will not make any exemptions to that. So in that very moment, sometimes with a focus that, okay, let's grab the deal, let's start the business, and these legal things can come later. We unknowingly put ourselves to a certain exposure of risk. Yes, it is a risk, because a layman doesn't understand how nitty-gritties those things are in an agreement. How how much we are exposing ourselves, our brainchild, our startup company, for which we are doing all the hard work day and night, but we are just by signing on those agreements, not knowingly, we are exposing ourselves to risks. uh, and that's where a legal professional's help may come very, very handy, and very recommended to have those agreements properly legally reviewed, to curtail your risk, to provide you all the legal remedies the law provides you, to safeguard your interests. Uh, One more thing, when we come to negotiation, we go in with the other party lawyers, the other sides. We speak to them, we negotiate them on behalf of our clients or the company. We also help them with the price negotiation. Our role, the lawyer's role, doesn't end at the legal side of the story. It also extends to the commercial side. Though it is a business decision to whether take the commercial side of it, but the lawyers help, the lawyers continuous support on the calls and on the mails also put pressure, also give you a motive, a support system to crack the deal and to square the deal in your favor. Next point is litigation support. Now, we all know, whatever we do, whatever how much we do on the contracting side, there is always a possibility that relationships may go sour. They may escalate to next level, and litigations do happen in the business side. Yes, it is a fact. So a person, when it comes to the litigation, the legal side, the legal costs are very, very high. Not even to the litigation support, the earlier things also, the legal costs are high, yes. But to have a person continuously supporting you, who knows your business inside out, and who knows, who supports you, upon which you can trust, you can share your confidential documents with regards to the litigation and everything, and he can create an environment which will give you a support, a confidence that, okay, things can be managed, and he will give you the right advice, whether the scenarios are like, whether we can move ahead for the litigation situation or not. So that's the part on the litigation side. The next thing is data privacy. Now, we all know how things are there with regards to the data privacy all over the world. We have seen big social media companies getting involved into litigation and then becoming answerable to the government, and a lot of things have happened. So data privacy is a very, very important side of it. Earlier, what used to happen is, for certain companies, if we are handling the data of the EU citizens or the US citizens, we have to comply with some. If we are doing the EU citizens data, we have to comply with the GDPR requirements, or the privacy shield between EU and US laws. But later on, after June 2020, when this Facebook thing has happened, and some data privacy leaks story came out, the privacy shield was broken, and nowadays you have to put standard contractual clauses in your contract, specific clauses. And of course, the privacy policy needs to be there. The company has to appoint a data privacy officer. So all those things which a young entrepreneur is, I would say, he takes time to understand all these things, but the support of a legal professional from the very first of the daylight always help, and he can make sure that you comply with all those data privacy requirements. there is a time constraint here. So last but not the least, I would cover the point of intellectual property. Now, be it a banking industry or some service provider or some blockchain or some AI, everyone has a product to sell. Everyone has a service or a physical product to sell. And for each specific product, we have a particular intellectual property. So, for example, for your name, your brand names, you can have, the trademarks registered, be it a provisional or worldwide. For your tech products, you can have them copyright. The softwares can be copyrighted. If you have a specific technology which you have generated, which is your brainchild, upon which you are thinking to develop your business, you can have it patented. And where to patent it? Where is the market? Which market you are? You can't say that, okay, though I have this technology, I'm residing in Thailand, but my market I'm focusing, but the target geographical area is US. So you can say I would like to patent in Thailand. It can be there, but the target geographical area should be US in that case. The intellectual property security is very important. You won't like it to get involved into a litigation later on when you have put in all your hard work to the business, and then it gets infringed by a third party. So that needs to be emphasized upon. So those are the things which I wanted to bring light, which I wanted to focus on. And we can help you with all those things from the very start of it. So that's pretty much from my side. Back to you, Kenny.
All right, thank you, Vinyas. Well, we've always believed in the philosophy of creating 10x outcomes to scale businesses. Rather, it's to accelerate strategic alliance investments and global expansion. We really dissect the business stages into, we would say, 4 different stages. First is from the advisory component, building use cases, case studies, strategies, business relations, legal, and even human resource. We have all of that in-house. And also the digital transformation side of the businesses. We have about 30 full-time team members on our team. And even the brand recognition and PR, right? And once that's prepared, it's about investment capital, access to capital partners, bring in strategic resource, strategic capital partners to co-invest with us. All of that equals, tremendous growth. And of course, we've been covered on many different mainstream publications. And the reason why we're sharing this today, because we are in need of hiring people. We're looking for champions. We're looking for people that wants to be part of a growing team, okay? And looking to do something which they've always wanted. We're not looking for 9-to-5 people, we're looking for champions. So if this resonates, if what we talked about resonates with any of you, please do contact us, because we need to scale. And I think that's about it.
Thanks, Kenny. I guess before that, we do have a question here. Maybe you would like to answer. So somebody is asking whether, should I prioritize strategic partnerships over looking for external funding? Yep, and VCs can be strategic as well.
It depends on your team size. It really depends. If you're a single person, divide up your day. Use part of your day to look for strategic partners. Okay, you still got to build out your use case. You look at your technology and you figure out what's a typical use case that you can focus on for that specific partner. Okay, and then spend your time also talking to investors. Divide up your time. But when you look for strategic partners, one of the things to focus on is to look at their investors. Do they have investors you're looking for? Do they have investors you're looking for? And oftentimes of course, I've been in the startup stage. Do not go to someone and say, can you invest? Can you intro me to an investor? Don't do that. Work with them, do them a favor. How do they benefit you? Obviously, they have access to capital, but you got to think about how you benefit them. What are you going to do for them? Maybe even just buying lunch. Maybe they need something, maybe some kind of design. Maybe they design a shed and you realize that, hey, maybe I can help them there. Do favors for one another. It's not about taking resource from people. The way we built up this business was, I was also helping too, but not to overextend yourself. Okay, so you got to also value your time as well, but appreciate what others can do for you. I hope this answers the question.
Right. So I guess in short, as cliche as it might sound, so basically it's to give before you actually take. I mean, to summarize it in one short sentence, to give before you take.
Yeah, give without doing everything for free. We still gotta appreciate our time, right? Give knowing that your cost is low.
Yeah, right. We have to be careful with how we spend our time and the people that we're spending with. Anyway, another question that just came in. Is Elevate only interested in working with East Asian startups?
We have startups in Europe. We have startups in Estonia and the US that we work with. We work with any companies out there as long as they have, I would say, a very committed team and a true vision. We're open for discussion.
Okay, building on that question, we have one more. Do you have startups in Africa?
No.
Okay. And okay, one. I guess we'll just take this one last question. Using the 18-month approach, how do we increase the value of a startup from $0 to $100 million? Is it simply to get partnerships that increase the value or revenue of the startup?
It depends on what stage you're at. If you're just looking for a seed round, get funding first. You build your partnership, you build your traction first. Raise the money you need to build the metrics that you want to achieve. I think that startups oftentimes they focus too much on valuation. They get lost in terms of, hey, my company's worth 100 million, but it's not liquid. Liquidity is very important. So partnerships is definitely one aspect to focus on, but on the other hand, it's either you have money generating, you have income coming in, or you have investor that really knows their stuff that can take you to the next stage.
Okay. So I guess to Debo who asked this question, I hope Kenny has answered your question. Okay, we have one more coming in, and I'm sorry, this has to be the last one, the last question. Can I know the percentage that your company will want to have in seed round? Can I know the percentage that your company will want to have in seed round? I don't really quite get the question. Kenny, do you know? Are you able to answer that?
The percentage to enter into a seed round, it really varies. You need to find a lead investor.
Okay, that's a straight and short answer. But for any questions that are kind of like directly related to Elevate Ventures, you guys can actually drop them an email at relations@elav.io, which is right on the screen here. So I guess due to the constraint of time, we have come to the end of the session, and I would like to thank everyone for sticking through this presentation. Also, thank you so much to Kenny and the team from Elevate Ventures for conducting this workshop. So anyway, just a very quick shameless plug here. TechNode is organizing the Beyond Expo, which is a hybrid 3-day event happening from August 26 to 28 in Macau. So this event is actually supported by the Macau Trade and Investment Promotion Institute. So some confirmed keynote speakers include the United Nations resident coordinator in China, the founding chairman of IDG Capital, the founder of Foxconn, and also the chairman and CEO of Sinovation Ventures. So government officials from mainland China, Macau, Hong Kong, as well as country ambassadors from the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Europe will be joining as well. So there will be currently there's an ongoing early bird promo for online passes at just $9, which is ending on 26 June. So I will share more over email, after this event. And I guess with that,
and by the way, we did set up our office in Thailand, in Bangkok. We are looking for more people. So if there's anyone that's interested, please do email us.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to Elevate Ventures, drop them an email or reach out to them via LinkedIn. I believe there are different avenues out there to reach out to the team. So with that, thank you once again to Kenny and the team from Elevate Ventures. So that's all. Goodbye.
Thank you, Xu Hui. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.